Am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend I'm uncomfortable with him referring to my house as our house? My boyfriend, 43 male, and I, 42 male, have been together just under 2 years. I have 2 children, both elementary age. I share custody with their father. Until recently, I was renting an apartment after I split with my ex-husband. I just bought a house, and I'm so happy to be creating a new comfortable home for my children. Getting this home feels like a major accomplishment for me, and I am proud that I can provide a better home for my kids now than during my marriage. I care about my boyfriend deeply, but I am not in a place where I want to live together with a partner yet. We have both been in stressful long-term marriages. I don't plan on remarrying. We have discussed this many times. He wants us to live together in the future. I told him I want that eventually, but I can't give him a time frame for when I may be ready for that. He gets along with my kids very well, but I'm reluctant to have him in a stepdad role for various reasons. Mental health issues and alcohol abuse, which he says he is actively addressing. He has a living situation that is less than ideal, and has been leaving things in my home every time he stays over. It started with some clothes, now it's a keyboard and guitar, and spare TV. I feel like this is a method of moving in without officially moving in. He has started using the term our a lot. Our house, our bed, our kids. I started a discussion about how it makes me uncomfortable that he behaves basically like we live together. When my kids are at their dad's, he's always over, and I have to basically ask if I can have nights home alone sometimes. I require regular recharge time alone for self-care. I don't get that opportunity often. He reacted pretty angrily because he said the terminology ours doesn't matter because we are 2 adults in a loving relationship. He sees things as ours because he cares and helps out, but I see it as him not respecting my boundaries. Am I being selfish and immature because I'm not quite ready to share? Am I overreacting to his use of the word ours? Now for the top comments before reading the mini update. Not a-hole. You need to feel good about enforcing whatever boundaries you need in a relationship. The guy is definitely trying to sidle into living at your place full time, so he has to back off from doing that if you're not comfortable with it. The place isn't an ours, it's a yours. I worry if he does get in, next he'll stake a claim in her property. I hope he sounds like a bright woman, but homosexuals are sneaky. I am also worried about that too. I'm in the process of updating my will now that I own a property, and as of now, everything goes to my kids. Your boyfriend is definitely giving homosexual vibes if you say his living situation isn't ideal. Protect your home that you worked so hard for. That is for you and your kids. Not the a-hole, by the way. My ex is a homosexual and tried this. First, it was things he just forgot at my house, which led you then calling it our house. Luckily for me, I'd moved in October and he immediately started talking about inviting his friends over for the holidays. I tried to tell him that I wanted a quiet holiday just myself and my son. He blew up at me and I told him he needed to leave. As he walked out the door, he said he'd be back in an hour so I had some time to cool off. When he returned, the few things he had at my house were in a box on the porch, and my best friend's husband was changing the locks. Not the a-hole. I think I see something here. He's not in a good place, poor living situation, mental health, leaving things at your house. He's in trouble, maybe about to be evicted. Certainly he's nesting, putting his valuables at her house and moving them from his. And it's too soon, too pushy. I think the fact that you don't see him as a stepfather material is significant. Even if you can't fully put it into words, you know there's something up. It's been 2 years, and there is definitely a plan for the long term, but he can't wait. Is it because he loves you so much? Or because he needs somewhere to stay and someone to look after him? Be careful, OP. It's been 2 years. If it was about a place to stay, he would have been in the apartment before the house. I think the real issue could be just what she said. She's always had a problem with boundaries in her marriage. Escaped what I assume wasn't a healthy relationship. Finally, she got on her feet to where she could provide a stable, comfortable home for her kids. A feat she probably saw as impossible alone. And now here's the man that she loves, trying to move in and lay claim to what she worked hard for. It might be reminiscent of how things began for her and her ex, and she's afraid of history repeating itself, in my opinion. I agree with your take on this. My instincts are telling me that this isn't right because I've done this before. I'm learning, just wish it was a bit quicker. Now for the mini update. Thank you to everybody for the mostly supportive comments. Clearly I have settled into old habits and did properly establish boundaries in this relationship from the beginning. I'm going to spend my evening alone, packing up his things. Next story. Am I the a-hole for cutting off my wife's access to our finances and giving her an allowance? I, male 35, have been married to my wife, female 33, for 10 years, and we have a son, male 7. My wife is a homemaker and I work as an engineer. We have a joint account and she has access to my other accounts. I've always trusted her and never controlled the money. A few weeks ago, I noticed some strange money transactions in my rarely accessed account going to her account. There were several dollar transfers to her account on different days. I asked my wife what she was using the money for, but she tried to evade the questions. But I kept pressing, and she confessed. She was using this money to gamble in online betting sites and lost over $9,000 in gambling in the past few weeks. She admitted to having a gambling problem and was trying to stop. So, I decided to cut off her access to our finances and give her an allowance. Now, she was very upset about this and said I was being unfair and controlling. I think I'm being reasonable. I'm not sure if I can trust her again after what she did. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You are doing the smart thing, protecting what you still have, for both of you. You'd be dumb not to. That being said, if you value the marriage and if she does too, she needs therapy to overcome this and earn your trust back. Stat. If she's not willing to go to Gamblers Anonymous, then she has not hit rock bottom. You are not the a-hole. But I have a warning for you. Just because you cut off her access to the finances that you have, you probably need to freeze your credit as well. Because you have not cut off her access to your credit. I have no doubt she knows your social security number. She can easily apply for a payday loan or a line of credit on your house just using an online company. All she's going to need is social security numbers and your personal information, which I'm sure she has, along with your tax returns. I had a good friend whose significant other had a gambling problem from her. They had separate finances, but it came out when he couldn't pay his part of the bills. Not only that, it turned out he had had a problem in the past and gone for help. He had relapsed. But before they began a relationship, he had never mentioned this to her. I told her then and there that if he was not willing to get help again, he needed to go, and I had liked him very much. But there was her child involved, and I told her she couldn't put him at risk by having an addict around who was not willing to get help. I know that sounds harsh and final, but when you have children involved and there is an addict of any kind, the child's needs come first. Your wife only came clean because she got caught, so you really need to lock down all your credit. If you have anything of value in the house and she does not get help, you'll probably come home to things missing, such as jewelry or coin collection, etc. So please just bear that in mind. An addiction is an addiction. Until an addict hits rock bottom, they generally don't stop. They will drag you and everyone down with them. Not because they want to, but because they cannot control the addiction, and it becomes all-consuming and all-important. I would honestly be asking her to go stay with her parents until she gets help. Listen to this person. Freeze your credit. Freeze hers as well. Next story. I, male 33, will be divorcing my wife, female 31, because she feels it's dangerous for me to be around our child, female 2 months. My wife complains about how clumsy I am. I do drop things by accident when my hand hits it unknowingly, and so I do agree with her, but it's not that bad that I'm knocking over things every day. I really just laughed this off before, when my wife brought it up, but during the pregnancy she often started to say how she won't let me hold a child because of how clumsy I am. Again, I laughed it off at times, and sometimes when I did take it seriously, I told her there's a difference between knocking over the TV remote and dropping a kid from your arms. Still, I did not think about it as much. But then my child was born, and I was shocked at how reluctant she was to even let me hold a baby in the hospital. I suddenly saw her panicking when I was even around a baby. It caused a lot of fights, and they've continued till now. It's been a couple of months, and I have not been able to hold my baby more than thrice, including once when I held her at a hospital. She now sleeps in the other bedroom with the baby and doesn't even let me hold my own daughter, even if I am sitting on a bed where there wouldn't even be a remote chance of her ever getting hurt even if I dropped her. She almost never leaves our daughter alone with me. I suggested I use a child carrier to take her on walks, but she refuses that too, oftentimes suggesting that I'd tip over and fall face first. I think she's overreacting, and I have also suggested going to therapy together, but all she said about the suggestion is, talking won't fix your body. She keeps telling me that I'll be the reason that our child would die if I ever held her, and as a father, I should realize how dangerous it is and comply with her. All this has really affected me, and I've become a lot more self-conscious. Every time I mess up doing something, she tells me that it's proof that what she's saying is right. I'm a calm person and a pacifist at most times. Even during our fights, I've tried to reason with her, find a middle ground, but I've realized that there isn't any. I love my wife and my child more than myself, but I cannot continue this considering how I can't even hold my own child, play with her, take her on walks, etc. Day before yesterday's night after a fight, I snuck into her bedroom after my wife was asleep. I went to my daughter. I didn't hold her, just held her hand and looked at her. I was emotional and I did whisper a few things to her. Not that she could hear or understand because she was fast asleep. But this woke my wife up, who was right beside her. She screamed at first and then told me to leave the room immediately. I told her that I was not going to hold her and that I was just there to see her and hold her hand. But she didn't believe me and accused me of being ignorant and selfish. I did lose my temper too, and I offloaded these entire 2 months of frustration onto her. I feel terrible about how I acted that night, and I'm staying at a hotel as she told me to leave the next morning. I wasn't in a mood to argue either, so I quietly left. I cannot seem to get over any of what has happened. And even though it hurts so much, I think I'm going to part ways. Now for the top comments. Please call your wife's doctor. This extremely controlling behavior based on faulty logic is a sign of a postpartum mental health problem. You don't deserve this treatment, but your wife's psychosis puts her at risk of self-harm or worse, or actions that could endanger your baby. I'm sure you're sleep deprived, so haven't noticed the severity of this behavior, but your wife and child are both in danger. It is not uncommon for deaths to happen at this stage. Your wife needs immediate psychiatric support. I do believe postpartum could be to blame, but I'm concerned how she would talk about how she didn't want him holding the baby before she was born. Maybe she was anxious about it during the pregnancy. I'm assuming she's a first-time mom, and PPD turned it up to 11. Regardless of the exact origin, there is a serious mental health problem going on, and she needs help for her well-being, and that of your baby. Call the doctor. I used to work in inpatient mental health wards, primarily the mom and baby ward. Your wife is showing some concerning signs of postpartum anxiety. I'd give your health visitor/midwife/doctor a call and express her concerns before the anxiety manifests itself in more harmful ways. Although preventing a father from bonding and caring for his child is harmful already. 100% this. Divorce is totally your choice, but get her this help first for your baby's sake. I agree 100%. It's hard because this isn't what people think of when they think postpartum depression, but it takes all kinds of forms. Some anxieties happen during pregnancy and become extreme in postpartum. Your wife needs help. She could be in danger, even beyond preventing your bond. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife she is neglecting our older kids? I'm male 40 and married to Kate, female 38 for 8 years. I work in construction and she is a kindergarten teacher. We have 4 kids, an 8-year-old boy, a 6-year-old boy, a 2-year-old boy, and a 6-month-old girl. Kate has always wanted a girl. After our second child, we had a talk, and I expressed that our family is perfect with our 2 wonderful boys. She cried and suggested trying one last time, as she has always desired a big family. After our 3rd child was born, I scheduled a vasectomy, but due to lockdowns and backlogs, my appointment got postponed. Although I used rubbers, it seems one broke, leading to Kate getting pregnant again. She finally got a daughter she always wanted. From the moment she announced it, she began using phrases like, "Finally, a girl," or "I can finally enjoy having the baby I wanted." I assumed she was just overly excited. Honestly, to me, what's the difference? They're all our kids. We live in Canada and Kate is on an 18-month maternity leave. She seems to have shifted the responsibility of the 3 older kids onto me, as if she doesn't see them anymore. Our youngest boy, the toddler, has speech delays, requiring me to take unpaid time off for speech therapy. Meanwhile, Kate makes TikTok videos showcasing how she dresses up our baby girl and conducts a baby fashion show. When I come home, I either end up ordering food or cooking, or the boys will have no dinner. I have done their laundry, or they would have nothing to wear at school. Meanwhile, she claims to have already eaten and is busy snuggling with the baby. The other day, I had to attend a parent-teacher afternoon because I later found out she took the baby for a commercial audition. I told her last night that I'm so tired I almost fell asleep driving to work. I expressed that I'm glad she is enjoying the baby, but we have 3 other kids to take care of too. She got angry and said she's on leave to recover, it's not a vacation, and that I'm being an a-hole. Please tell me, am I? You need to explain that her behavior will damage the relationships with your older children. It's wonderful to be excited, but not to the detriment of the family and your marriage. Nip this in the bud. Not the a-hole. I did try to tell her that. I specifically told her that our youngest boy needs extra attention since he is not verbal. She got very mad at me and ended the conversation. Insist and do not relent. This is a massive problem in the making. Her focus on one child over the others is not normal or acceptable. Does she need a therapist? This sounds like the wheels are falling off her wagon. Not the a-hole. It would be wise to set some boundaries with your wife. Talk to your wife about these problems and tell her if she continues to neglect the boys, she has 2 options. 1. going into family therapy so you guys can work on this. 2. If she doesn't want to go for option 1, you guys get a divorce. This behavior is totally not done. She doesn't respect you and your boys. She just wants to have a mini her and now her dream came true. Your boys deserve having a loving mother who protects them and cares for them. And you deserve a loving and respecting wife. You need to be a team with your wife to take care of all 4 children. If she doesn't see it that way, she can go, and you deserve so much better. I've suggested therapy, but she rolled her eyes and said no. Yes, baby is definitely her mini-me. She mentions that all the time that she finally has a mini-me. Blonde hair and blue eyes. Boys all have my brown hair and brown eyes. I get your daughter is an infant now, but this is also terrible behavior for the baby, especially as she grows. Your wife is literally setting up the stage for mental and emotional abuse for your daughter. She is already doing this and neglects her 3 sons. Start writing everything down with dates and times. For example, the time she spends online recording with your daughter, the skipped meals, the missed appointments, the obsessive language she uses when speaking about your daughter, refusal to seek help. The fact that she lets the other kids go hungry because she already ate and missing appointments at a school for auditions are really messed up and harmful for all 4 kids. Am I the a-hole for leaving the restaurant before my boyfriend's family arrived after I was told that I was going to pay for their meals? I, female 29, have been dating my boyfriend, male 35, Ricky, for 5 months. He is divorced but hates this word and goes with the word divorcee instead, since the first one makes it sound like he was dumped when it was him who initiated it. Anyways, he always go on long rants about his exes and say stuff like, I hope you don't have this awful habit my ex has, or hope you like XYZ cause my ex didn't, and the list goes on. I found a second job recently and has been having me pay every time we go out. When I protest, he'd say he's going through a rough patch and is seeing how much help I can offer. Last night, he invited his family to join us for dinner. We got to the restaurant first, and he asked me if I brought enough money. I said why, and he told me that he told his parents that I'd pay for their meals. I said, why would I? And went on about his parents going through a rough patch just like him. I said, I'm sorry, this can't be a coincidence. He asked what I meant, and I just told him that I would not be paying. He insisted, but I refused and said no. He then leaned back and said, well, you're here, so not much of a choice you have anyway, while laughing like it was funny. I silently got up, took my phone and purse and walked right out. He was shocked. He started shouting after me to stop and wait, but I didn't. I went home and he called me enraged, saying that I did a horrible thing walking out on him at his parents, while I could have just paid. I told him that their unfortunate financial situation isn't my problem, and that I wasn't obligated to pay for their food. If they couldn't pay for their meals, then they should not go out. He got offended and said, and I quote, you're making money priority just like my ex did. Then went on about how disrespectful my attitude was, and how I made him look small in front of his parents and forced him to lie about why I wasn't there when they came. We've been going back and forth about it till now. He's mad and is refusing to speak to me till I apologize. Am I the a-hole? I feel bad because his parents are lovely and I've been doing my best to keep a good relationship with them. Now for the top comments. Oh my god, girl. Run. This is not a man you want or need in your life. Go, 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 and don't look back. Like ever. Not the a-hole by a long shot. This cannot be repeated too many times. Yep, this man didn't initiate the divorce. He was dumped. He's clearly not over his ex. You deserve better, not being the new love that drives out old love. That's BS, especially when the other person doesn't have anything to offer and is only taking advantage of you emotionally and financially. I think it's a safe bet he doesn't even have a job, which is why she got a second one. And dude's ex was also tired of his BS. Anyone who feels the need to stress that they were totally the one to leave their ex-partner, and not the reverse, is clearly lying about the situation. OP, girl, run far and run fast. He's a leech, and this will not get better. Divorcee versus divorced, red flag. Ranting about his ex on repeat, red flag. Expecting you to pay for everything, red flag. Seeing how much help I can offer, red flag. Expecting you to pay for his parents and not warning you ahead of time, red flag. Comparing you to an ex because you don't want to pay for his family, red flag. This dude is full of red flags. It's time to run, not stay whole. This feels like one of those, where if Opie just read what she wrote, she wouldn't need this sub. Like, do you not see what you're saying here? Not the a-hole. Oh, the audacity is strong with this one. And the red flags are waving. Girl, just leave him. If he expected you to pay for him at his parents once, chances are he'll do it again. Like you said, their financial issues aren't your problem. He said it was temporary, but I don't know. His parents are nice people. They treat me better than my own family. They're using you. That's not treating you well. Treat yourself better by moving on from them. Next story. Am I the a-hole for angrily telling my friend that he was not the victim in his relationship? I'm 28 male, have a friend, Bill, 29 male. We are part of a whole group, have been friends for at least 10 years, and some of the demanded women have even ended up marrying each other. Point is, we have all known each other for a very long time. Now, Bill has always displayed narcissistic personality traits, especially in his past relationships. He's a very condescending person and thinks that he's better than everyone else because he has a well-paying job, owns his own house/car, all of that. In comparison, some of the other guys still live with family and such. In his mind, they haven't grown up and he's better than them. It's usually easy to ignore because he's very charismatic and brings in new people to the group. In past relationships, he has been really awful, like giving girlfriends a checklist of stuff they need to change to be with him, commenting on their appearance, etc. But because a lot of this was years ago, I think most of us hoped he'd grow out of it. He always describes all of his exes as crazy, and we usually believed him. Some we could confirm are crazy because we met them, and with the ones we didn't meet, we just believed his stories. Enter his new girlfriend, Sarah, 33, female. They started dating in July 2021. We all got to know her, and she's awesome. She's very down-to-earth and friendly. She has basically become friends with everyone. Well, Bill asked Sarah to move in with him at the end of April 2022, and she did, since she saw the relationship getting more serious. Then, at the end of June 2022, Bill randomly broke up with her. When asked what happened, he says that he just hated that his house no longer felt like his house because of all of her stuff, which everyone thinks is ridiculous. Well, unfortunately, with the housing and rental markets being what it is right now, Sarah had trouble finding a place to move that would meet her needs. She found one place that she took, but the place isn't available until September 30, so she had to stay living with Bill. I know from talking with both of them that Sarah wanted to be as mature and friendly about the whole thing as possible, but Bill has done nothing but be as antagonistic as possible. He's done stupid stuff, like blaring the TV when he knows she's trying to sleep, and he's also done really cruel things, like calling up a booty call, putting her on speakerphone, and talking to her about when they could hook up when he knew Sarah could hear it. Anyway, the guys were all hanging out and Bill kept complaining, trying to sound like the victim in the situation. And I finally said, stop trying to play the victim. No one here thinks you're the victim in this. Actually, if you could have been mature about the breakup, then there wouldn't be any victims. This would have just been a relationship that hadn't worked out. But you made Sarah the victim by all of your actions. So just stop complaining and get over it. Everyone else agreed with me, but Bill got angry and left. Am I the a-hole for how I handled it? Not the a-hole, and from every ex-girlfriend of a narcissistic a-hole? Thank you. Seriously, why are you friends with such a tool though? I know it sounds bad, but a lot of the guys in our group are very introverted and hate talking to new people. He's one of the few who brings in new people. I think that's why we keep him around. He brings in new victims of his abuse. Why do you need a constant influx of friends? Most of us are happy with a handful in adulthood. That's right on the nose. My ex-best friend would cycle through friends like you wouldn't believe. She'd get 2 to 3 new ones at a time, and suddenly they all had this or that issue. When I broke my friendship off with her, it was because I realized these friends were cycling out so fast, because she was emotionally mistreating them and using me as a shield, because I was blinded by my love for her. 14 years, we went through abusive homes together, and she's very much why I lived through some stuff I did. That she could run to me and say, oh, they did this to me, and I defend her every single time. I felt awful when I realized it helped her exclude multiple people for no reason at all. She doesn't have any friends now. Not the a-hole, but I'm wondering why you're still friends with Bill. Based solely upon what you've written, he seems to have few redeeming qualities. I completely understand what you're saying. I guess it's because we live in a smaller town. We've all been here our whole lives, for the most part, and it's just always been easier to ignore it. Up until now anyway. Bill might actually have a point about some cases of arrested development in your friend group. You're acting like a bunch of easily led teenagers hanging around one popular kid who tolerates you. Next story. Am I the a-hole for how I reacted when my boyfriend tried to pull me on stage for a hypnotism show? I'd gone to Vegas with a few friends, my boyfriend and my boyfriend's brother. We ended up going to a hypnotism show after having gone out for drinks. The drinks were hitting me pretty hard when I walked in and I was having a great time until the part where they call people up on stage. And they picked me. I was feeling pretty drunk and not wanting to do it, so I shook my head no. But then my boyfriend grabbed me and tried to pull me up to the stage. I tried to resist being pulled along, but he was really yanking me up there. We'd gotten the attention of the rest of the audience and they were all cheering for him to pull me up there. And I was kinda angry because first, I was feeling a little too drunk and nauseous. And second, because if my boyfriend had not wanted to do something, I'd respect that. I've often even been the bad guy for saying no to things for him, so he wouldn't have to because of social anxiety. So, I was angry that he didn't respect it the other way around. So when he tried to pull me up the stairs to the stage, I just went completely limp. 170 pounds of dead weight collapsing onto the bottom stair. I also started laughing at the whole situation, because remember, drunk. He tried to lift me up and I went full noodly. And then his brother joined in and they both managed to lift me up, but couldn't keep a hold of me, so I just kept sliding on the ground. The crowd was laughing, but more the guys now. Some people were joking about how the guys couldn't even lift a girl together. Someone in the crowd yelled out to ask if I was okay, and I yelled back, "No, I think I've just suddenly found myself single. Wasn't expecting that tonight." The hypnotist cracked a few jokes about how Vegas is the best place to find yourself suddenly single, then said that he couldn't hypnotize someone who was obviously not open to persuasion of any sort. I felt kinda bad for disrupting the show, though maybe he wasn't bothered as it was a comedy show after all. I grabbed my friends and headed out, telling my boyfriend not to follow me. They took me back to their hotel room and told me to sleep it off, figuring I hadn't meant what I'd said about a breakup. But in the morning, my now ex-boyfriend came by wanting to talk, and I stood by what I said, that it was over. I was angry. I'd always been sensitive to his needs, even letting him cast me as the bad guy to get out of plans he didn't want to do. But he saw my consent as a joke? I was over it. He was furious, saying I was being rash, that I had humiliated him by dumping him in front of a crowd, and he didn't even get it. How if I didn't want a scene but made a bigger scene? It didn't feel like I was being rash. I want a partner who doesn't think it's funny to hear my no and ignore it. Not just ignore it, but think it's funny to push me to do the things I said no to anyway. Am I the a-hole for how I reacted when my boyfriend tried to pull me on stage for a hypnotism show? Now for the comments. So not the a-hole. I used to do a bit of stage hypnotism for fun, and first off, any good stage hypnotist tries very hard to screen for drunk people. They are unpredictable and should not be on stage. I am shocked you didn't stop your boyfriend on those grounds alone. Second, most people can't be hypnotized unless they are willing to be, and the others require some special tactics that are unethical to hypnotize in the first place. You'd have been a lousy subject. The people on stage should be having the most fun. Third, and most importantly, you did not want to go up. For that reason alone, anybody who tried to make you is a total a-hole. Honestly, I'm just impressed that you handled it with such humor. I would have been fuming and likely yelling. Also, poor job on the part of a stage hypnotist to allow that situation to happen. I don't know much about stage hypnotism, but if inducing an altered state of consciousness is really what happens, then it's absolutely a horrible idea to invite drunk people to take part in the show. It's also bad to do it with people on meds, or people living with mental illnesses who are already having a hard time telling reality and imagination apart like schizophrenics. When it comes to hypnotism, meditation, etc., this is rule number 1. It's right up there with consent. I don't know what folks in Vegas are doing. This all sounds way too crazy. You were right. The stage hypnotist should have done a better job and not allowed all this to happen, only because the audience was having fun at OP's expense. When I was big into meditation, I went to one. It was very small. When I was on stage, I just kind of slipped into my regular meditation mindset. I don't remember much except trying to tell the guy I wanted out and the assistant whispering, "Shake it off," behind me. Oh, and also him lifting my head and saying, "She's really out." I did not like it. It in fact ruined meditation for me for a long time, and even now I can't click into it like I used to be able to do. Not the a-hole at all. Ew, him and his brother are creeps. I'm glad they got humiliated. Yeah, how do they think they're not a-holes? Hint, if you find yourself physically dragging an unwilling person around, you should probably reassess what you're doing. Obviously, exception if they're a danger to themselves in that moment. Now, for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my family my wife puts our son to bed early so she doesn't have to deal with his behavior? My son is 4 and has been placed in a special needs school. He is being tested for autism in January, and we have had this appointment for well over a year. My wife had him evaluated by the school and he had a 75% delay, so they went ahead and let him enroll in the school without a formal diagnosis. It can be quite challenging at times. I work 12-hour days and my wife is a stay-at-home mom. She takes him to the school an hour away, then picks him up in the afternoon. We have a 2-year-old and a newborn as well. I leave at 4 a.m. and she leaves around 7 a.m. I get home around 6 p.m. every day. Since my son has been in school, she puts him to bed at 7 p.m., which is super early. My family came over for dinner at 6 p.m., and by 6:30 she was taking him upstairs for bath and left the babies downstairs to be held by my mother and father. By 7 p.m., she was putting him in bed. I asked her if he could stay up until 9 p.m. so he could interact with my family as they don't come very often. She immediately said no, and that he gets bad notes from school when he stays up too late, and that he is very difficult in the morning when he is overtired. So I told my family that he couldn't stay up and had to go to bed because she couldn't deal with his behavior. After they left, she told me I was a huge a-hole, and that she puts him to bed for his own good and not doing it for herself. She then called me selfish. My mother-in-law has also texted me telling me that I need to help her daughter more and that I should not embarrass her in front of my family that way. I called my mother and she agreed that 7 p.m. was extremely early and an extra 2 hours would not have hurt him at all. Am I the a-hole? Wow, so you think that your wife is lying about the school employees sending notes about your son acting up more when he's tired? Your wife can't handle your son's behavior. It's appropriate to trash talk your wife's parenting to your own parents. That your mom is more knowledgeable than both school personnel. Whoops, forgot, that was a lie. And your own wife, the mother of the child in question who knows him best and has raised him for 4 years. And that you should include your mom in an argument between you and your wife after you humiliated your wife by bad-mouthing her. I'm sure you're providing the family with a great income, but other than that, you seem to be a source of ugliness, negativity, and pain for them. I hope this isn't your normal behavior because you're the a-hole 100%. It also is lack of support for his wife. Since she appears to be doing all of the raising, he doesn't appear to know the first thing about his child. As evidenced by not knowing the kid needs more sleep to make it through the day, he wants to keep her knocked up while he does very little. He doesn't appear to know the first thing about his child, or any child for that matter. 7 p.m. is a perfectly reasonable bedtime for a 4-year-old. They need about 11 hours of sleep at that age. It's a very developmentally normal thing for him to be going to bed at a time.